All right, here we are, episode 3. Welcome to the Sales Talk Show brought to you by Pless, clearing the way for a safer environment. David, here we go. This is going to be a lot
Love
of
it.
fun today.
Love it. Dig into the music too. This is great.
The intro
Lots
music is big.
having
It's
lots of
big.
fun
We've
here.
made it. We've got intro music. That's what this is all about, right? Show number 3, we got music.
This is
Uh,
great.
Today's episode is going to be about knowing and identifying your ideal client. And we've got a couple of amazing guests to help us with that topic. We've got Jason Whittemore from Pless, our title sponsor, is going to join us, and we've got Joe Salemi from Landscape Ontario, another really really great guy. We spoke with him recently. They got some unbelievable stuff going on up in landscape with the Landscape Ontario organization. Um, but before we get into today's show, I just want to give a quick recap of the last episode, which was the ability for the business developer and the account manager to work successfully together. It's very very important when new business is um, proposed and earned. Then how does that handoff process look, and how does the customer feel when they engage with a new vendor partner, and what is that? How fluid is that, and how does it flow? So we talked about understanding your portfolio, where the client's needs were, and how you were able to offer them solutions, timely solutions, and what type of client it was. Sometimes the client was very needy and needed a lot of solutions. Sometimes the client was just sort of like a set it and forget it, but we had a certain level of communication we wanted to keep with them. And then finally, the handoff process. I think we all agree that the sales process has a tremendous amount of ether in it. It's very exciting. And the salesperson naturally goes on to the next can of ether and wants to go sell another job. But before that happens, they have to effectively and efficiently hand it off to the account manager and the operations team. So we talked quite a bit about that. If you weren't able to listen in last time live with us, we're live on LinkedIn. You can go back and search the show at Sales Talk Show on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Um, David, why don't you remind our listeners and followers? We spent quite a bit of time preparing to put this show together, and a lot of our discussion was around why would we do it? What is the mission behind putting this podcast together and putting the time and energy into it? So tell us a little bit about how we put the mission statement together and what it's all about.
Yeah, you and I, Billy, we both agreed. I'm here from Canada, and you're in the U.S., and we said let's put this together. Let's do something great that gives back to the industry. And that we both can put our passions in behind, and we just looked at this whole thing and said, how can we support the service industry as well with this show? And so our goal, our desire to raise up the next generation of sales leaders through education, right? Through real world experiences that we're having and that our guests are having, right? So through shared experiences, practical learning, right? A platform as well for our suppliers and industry partners to join in on, right? That we can promote them and what they're doing. So yeah, we're just real thrilled to be doing this and to be giving back this way. And hey, couldn't think of a better show, better way and a better show to be doing it with, show hosts. And so excited for the show today, Billy.
It's been
Let's
fun. It's been a lot of laughs. I think we both we were chatting last week, and we were both having some challenging days, and we made each other laugh. And I think that's what it's all about, having some fun. I know that
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about some of our backgrounds on the initial show, and it was brought up that you are quite a musician. And I think we
Oh
might
man.
have I don't think we have an audio clip yet, but I think we have a photo of you. Yep,
Oh
there it
man.
is. There it is. Who did it
Oh
better,
man.
David
Look at
Lammers or
that.
Elton John? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
You
That
tell
was a
me. You tell
man.
me.
That
Look at the
was
smoke in the background. That's got to be some 30,000 seat stadium rocking out, and you're just pounding away on the keyboards. Good for you, man.
we
That's awesome.
we were having fun. It was part of a progressive band that was doing show gigs as well, and a lot of fun. We opened for an American band at this particular moment, and in Toronto, and we did two shows, Toronto and Windsor, and it was a lot of fun.
There you
And
go. There you
yeah,
go.
everybody's got highlights, right? That was one of mine, and so a
That's
lot of
it.
fun. I still do music today. It's a big part of my life, and I'm still in a band, and
Good.
just did actually a weekend. I did a big gig this weekend of three different sets, and yeah,
Good for
so
you.
having lots of fun, having
Good
lots of
for
fun.
you.
Next
Good
time
for
we'll get
you.
some clips. Yeah, we'll get some clips. We'll get some audio clips, some video next time.
We might you might see my golf swing on one of these podcasts. You never know.
Yeah, I like
But
that.
let's get things started here. Exciting show, lot to talk about, and some great guests. David, tell us a little bit about some of the best practices you have with Garden Grove and you've developed over your career and with your team about identifying that ideal client. It's just really, really important
Yeah.
for businesses and business developers and companies to have uh, spend some time with this. So let's talk about it a little bit today and see if we can help some of the listeners and followers, find tips and tricks to identifying their ideal client.
Yeah, thanks, Billy. There's some real key things to know and understand when it comes to this topic. And I think it's the foundation of everything that we're doing in sales. Knowing your ideal client, right? It's really important to identify, right? To know how to identify and to know as a result of that, how to then lead our organization strategically in going forward as far as market share advancement goes. And
Mhm.
so it's really important to cultivate the ideal client during the sales process. And that before that can happen, it really just even needs to happen up front. There needs to be a clear understanding about who you're wanting to do business with, because that's going to shape your organization. And so for us, knowing your ideal client, it's right up front during the prospecting process. But how do you know? The question is, how do you know? And so it's really important. I believe that you understand, that we understand who we want to do business with, what type of properties, what type of customer. Does the customer reflect who we are as an organization? Do they reflect the type of work that we currently do? And is that something that that we can add a mutual benefit to, where we bring their product property on, and our services, of course, are like a product. So how are we able then successfully deliver results to them? And so it's really important that we're in tune, and there's a lot of key areas that we can do that with. Billy, I thought if we could talk a bit about that, right? What are some of those tips and tricks, right, that you use as well at Outdoor Pride for knowing your ideal client, and in the process, what are just some key things, right, that we can be watching for and looking out for?
Yeah, I think. Thanks, David. I think the biggest thing is being honest with yourself and being open to the idea that not every customer would be a great fit. I think the sales process can drive you. Again, we talked about the excitement of the sales process. This large dollar value client might seem like a good client partner, but when you peel it back a little bit, they just don't have the same values as you mentioned. They don't have the same commitment to
Mhm.
service levels, whether it's snow or landscaping. So I think it's important to ask those questions up front. How does the client view the grounds of their property? Is it important to them, or is it just something that they have and they have to just maintain it? It's just
Mhm.
I'm good. Just cut the grass, keep the weeds down, and we're good. And as far as snow and ice management, do they pre-treat? Do they post-treat? Do they do ice checks,
Mhm.
or do they just keep it plowed, keep my employees coming and going? That's it. Those are types of questions that we ask right up front. And when we hear things like that, we get a little bit, we pause. We don't run away, but we pause and think, could this customer be converted to an ideal client? That's a possibility. Or would it be something that's, BSBO, better served by others? Because a lot of clients out there, there's different vendors that match their needs. So we do that a lot. The other thing we do is we keep a pretty strict client vertical list where we don't really go outside of those five verticals. Schools and colleges, hospitals, distribution, Class A office. If it's something else other than that, my team will come to me and they say, "Oh, we found this great partner client that we might want to work with," and I'll ask them some key questions, but we really just stick to the verticals and ask some good questions up front.
Yeah, and it's that's the key, right? And it's understanding, how the client, how they're using their property, right? And what are the ways that the employees appreciate their grounds and whatnot, right? And so it's really important that we also look to how we build relationships in the process up front with our prospects, right? And they're going to see who we are, and if we're a fit as well. I think it's important that knowing that you're a fit for each other is key.
Mm,
And so cultivating the ideal client is just so key, right, during the process. One thing that we like to do every year too is review and adapt. Look at our current portfolio, and is there anyone that is not a fit for our organization as well, that doesn't represent our values and whatnot. And so we again, we need to look at, in our renewal cycles, how do we want to continue to course correct and adjust, right? Always be tuning in and moving forward as an
mm.
organization.
Well, that's great.
Well,
That's great.
well,
That's a good.
this has been a great little segment for us to introduce the topic. Of course, as we look to our featured guest for the day today, we're
Mm.
excited to have Jason Whittemore joining us from Metal Pless. And so, without further ado, we're looking forward to you coming on board, Jason. So here we go.
Metal Pless, the most profitable choice. The snow removal industry has never been more complex. To be profitable, you must choose the right tool for the right job. The Metal Pless snowplow, combined with its patented live edge technology, has become the #1 choice for snow fighters across North America, Europe, and Asia. The live edge technology allows the cutting edge of the plow to fully contour the surface of the ground. Our unique concepts have allowed snow fighters to be more efficient, reduce maintenance cost, and in turn, create larger profits. In today's market, operating the most versatile piece of equipment, combined with massive salt savings, thanks to the patented live edge technology, are the reasons why Metal Pless is the obvious choice.
That was amazing, Jason. Love that video.
Awesome video, right? Awesome.
Yeah. Wow. Love the energy in that. So good. Jason, welcome to the show. Great to have you, my friend.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Billy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome. Man, you're east of Montreal today in Canada. So this is so cool.
Yep.
We got
home
Billy from Boston, Jason from Montreal. I'm in Toronto. This is great. Love it. Jason, so good to have you on board. And of course, we're excited to have Metal Pless as our title sponsor for the show. And so this is a very exciting episode. And to really have you join us on this topic of knowing your ideal client. But first, before we get to that, I'd love to talk a bit about our background, how we met. Of course, you have a background with Outdoor Pride as well. But we go way back, quite a number of years. And of
What,
course,
10 years now, probably?
I think so. Yeah. And your history with Metal Pless too, right? Just
Yeah.
awesome. Tell us a bit about that.
I'll never forget the first time. Well, I don't know if it was the first time we met, but it was at the first SIMA event that we met, David. And
Yes.
we obviously probably met that day or the day before. But the moment that I remember the most is we had an evening, we had a dinner with the SIMA group, and I walk in, I'm all alone, and I'm a little bit of a shy person sometimes. So I walk in, I don't know anybody. And I'm looking, there's, hundreds of these big round tables with 10 people all around and kind of busy, not very many spots. And I spot this table here that, beautiful little family right there, and had an empty seat. So I walk up and I say, may I sit down? And it was, of course, David and his family. And I sat down next to his daughter, and his wife was over there. And just kind of met the family like that and got talking, had a wonderful evening. So it was something that I was, I don't want to say dreading, but again, I'm a little bit of a shy person when it comes to those types of events, but had a great time, got to meet David and his family, and we've been good friends ever since.
We have been, and you were a blessing to us and my kids back then too. We had a lot of fun together. I think that was a real memorable moment. And wow, hey, I'd love to hear your background with Metal Pless, because you've been with Metal Pless for a while. Love to hear some of that.
Yeah, so I've been with Metal Pless for 15 years. I was actually in sales previous to that, and funny story, I met Jimmy, the president of Metal Pless, trying to sell him something. And 2 years later, I ended up started working for Metal Pless just as a salesman to grow the Metal Pless brand outside of Quebec. We were very big in Quebec, but not very well known outside of Quebec. We were quite a small company back then. So I traveled mostly Ontario, but a little bit, the Maritimes, Western Canada, the US, and just slowly grew the company. I was the only salesman back then, right? We were 3 people in the office. That's how big of a company it was back then. And I just
Love it.
stepped up in the positions and went from salesman to sales manager to VP, became an owner. So I'm one of 3 owners at Metal Pless. We're blessed. And today we have a team, we're roughly 100 employees total.
Wow.
I have about 15 people that I manage in sales and marketing. So a whole lot of fun.
That's exciting, man. What a change. It is a great story. And of course, Metal Pless's story is one as amazing as amazing, right? As coming from the background that it has in manufacturing for the agricultural sector, and then to being what it is today, which is actually why we wanted to have you on the show, because it's a real testament as well to how this topic of knowing your ideal client has transformed Metal Pless into the company that it is today. And so we'd love to hear a little bit more about that. Tell our guests and our audience how Metal Pless approaches this topic of knowing your ideal client as it relates to equipment manufacturing, product innovation, continuous improvement.
Yeah, I mean, knowing your ideal client is also something that evolves with time naturally. So whether you're a very small company like we were in the very beginning to today, one of the largest companies in the world, privately owned, it of course evolves, but it always comes back to yes, knowing your ideal client. I guess it also prioritizing your ideal clients as well. So if we take the example, back in the day, we were very popular in Quebec naturally because, we're out of Quebec, but so we want to expand. Well, I was looking at the map. Where do I go? I can drive my car 7 hours east to the Maritimes, where there's 1 million in population, or I can drive my car 7 hours west to Toronto, where I got 8 million population. And at the end of the day, it's population that gives you numbers. Especially in the snow removal industry. So the more population, the more houses, the more Dunkin' Donuts and Tim Hortons, the more Dunkin' Donuts, Tim Hortons, the more Walmarts, and more parking lots to clear, more roads. So I decided to go west. I drove my car out west and just started promoting the brand, going to see all the dealers. Again, we weren't very well known back then, quite a smaller company. And prioritizing your customers. Well, who's the most important? Well, they're all important, whether it's one plow or customers got 80 of them. But of course, you'll go a little bit more towards where there's naturally more population to grow that. So and then when we started going to the U.S., well, same thing. Where do you go first? Do you go to Colorado or South Dakota, or do you go in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, right? We went on the East Coast first. It was closer to home and you had good population.
Very good point.
That was kind of the beginning.
Yeah, very much so. Right. It's interesting for Billy and I love that. I love you because your focus is asphalt, right? And sidewalks, right? You're like, where can we get the most hard surface, right? And where's the biggest need for our product, right?
Correct.
And I think for us too, as landscape companies and snow removal companies, being service providers, we're always looking, of course, for the ideal client that is in our space that way as well. I would say very similarly, right? What kind of property demographics, right? And the quality of the site. But it's interesting because we go through a process of elimination of, how, maybe not every client is a fit for our organizations. Yet for you, if I were to ask you that question, I think you would answer it a little differently, right? If I were to say that, not every contractor maybe, or not every, buddy is a fit for your product, how do you navigate that conversation?
Yeah, I always have a personal response on that one. I always say Metal Plus has such a wide range of products that pretty much adapts to almost any type of vehicle. If there's snow to be removed efficiently and profitably, Metal Plus is your answer. Does everybody own a Metal Plus? No. Is everybody very profitable and efficient? No. But as we grow our business, and I actually noticed that when I started a very long time ago, I was traveling to, again, Ontario and the US, the East Coast, and I would see all these companies that were removing snow, and some of them were profitable, but were they efficient? Not very much. Were they very productive? No. And at first it started off with people saying, oh, Metal Plus can be expensive sometimes when you're comparing just a basic pusher. Well, perhaps, but if you can outplow that lot, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, suddenly it's not very expensive. And nowadays, where labor is hard to get, if I can replace 4 pieces of equipment with one, that also means I'm replacing 4 loaders or 4 tractors or 4 pickup trucks, which also requires 4 operators, 4 oil changes, 4 insurance. So there's a whole lot of math behind it. So yeah, sure, sometimes you'll spend a little more on your initial product, but you're going to save so much more at the end. So that all comes in the mix.
I love how you're presenting that, right? There's a formula to it. You're not just selling a pusher, right? This is not just you're selling. Right? That's right. That's right. There's a whole background. There's a whole process that needs to be evaluated as part of the process in purchase. Right. And I think that's you make a very good point. Hey, Billy, for you too, when Outdoor Pride moved over to Metal Plus.
We did an evaluation or a utilization exercise on our equipment, and we realized we didn't have enough work for the equipment that we were setting up in certain regions. We needed more jobs on that street. So our business developers went out and sold neighbors and jobs on that street. So that Metal Plus pusher, the 1224 is an amazing piece of equipment on the front of a 270 Komatsu loader. And you said it, Jason. They were doing one lot with it, and then they were waiting for the snow to accumulate. Well, they can do now 3 lots on that street with that same piece of equipment. So more efficient. And the live edge technology, we talk a lot about the live edge technology being better for the environment, because you're getting a cleaner scrape, you're putting down less de-icing material. It's just tremendous the way you guys have, moved in the environmental side of the equipment. It doesn't seem like it's natural to talk about a huge piece of steel is better for the environment. But tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the live edge is one of many, many things that Metal Plus brought as an industry standard. There's so many unique features nowadays when you look at whether it's a Metal Plus or other brands of plows out there. There's so many features that you look at that actually started with Metal Plus. Metal Plus brought this to the industry to start with, whether it be hydraulic wings, trip edge on the wings, live edge. There's just so many things, slip hitch, oscillation, so many things that we brought to the industry that we started with going back in the 80s, 70s when Metal Plus first started. But live edge is one of those best ones, and that's to response from listening to our customers, which is something that Metal Plus is very proud of. We find it very important to stay in contact with our customers, our clients. We listen to their needs, we listen to their problems, their issues, their suggestions, and live edge is actually a byproduct of listening to hundreds of people over years and years and years. So Jimmy, our president, invented live edge a dozen years ago, and it just revolutionized the industry. Today it's the industry standard. You got to have live edge, and Metal Plus invented that. Metal Plus brought that, and only Metal Plus has the real live edge, which just scrapes so clean. You save time, you save on salt usage. It's better for the environment. There's such a problem nowadays with the environment, all this salt use, this overuse of salt and abrasives. Well, having a plow that mechanically removes more snow, therefore I don't have to put down as much salt to eliminate what's left behind, is huge. It's a huge impact for the environment. We see it in Lake George, which they've prioritized Metal Plus all across. because they're trying to protect the lake. So live edge, very much one of the big things. There's a couple more features coming out over the next couple of years. We'll see something coming up at SIMA, so come by our booth and take a look at it. But yeah, for sure, that live edge is the game changer.
It really is. And, I love what you said, that you listened, right? It was years of listening, years of learning, right? And again, knowing your ideal client, it was years of learning and listening too, right? It's not an overnight thing, but it was something that was growing. It was something that was coming as a result of. And I think that that's a big part of how you do business as well with your customers. Let's talk a little bit about how what your approach is, I guess, with sales, with how you engage a prospect. I know that that's a big part of Metal Pless's philosophy in how to do relationship selling versus productized selling.
Correct. I mean, for us, it's not just a client or a customer who purchased and then goodbye. You've often heard or you've seen, we talk about the Metal Pless family. Well, that's what it is. When you own a Metal Pless product, you're part of the Metal Pless family. We find it important to stay in touch. Of course, we have tens of thousands of people out there that use Metal Pless, so I can't be in touch personally with every single one of them. But we have a whole team at Metal Pless who stays in touch with everybody, and we find it really important. That's why at trade shows, I'll be at almost every single trade show. Our president Jimmy tries to come to trade shows as well. Our sales manager is always there. You can talk to our sales manager anytime. You can call me. My phone rings all the time, and we stay in touch. People will share their thoughts, their comments, their suggestions, and we bring that back and we look at it. I always have this funny moment when I first started at Metal Pless, which kind of blew me away. And this is a little bit of the Metal Pless philosophy. So I was right in my beginning. I was kind of in my training with our president, Jimmy. I was on the road with him, and he was looking at this snowplow that was like 10 years old. The thing was 10 years old, and he's down on his hands and knees looking at it, and he says, "You see this here?" He says, "There's a little bit of wiggle here. After 10 years of use, it's starting to wear." He says, "We're going to change that. We're going to make that stronger." 10 years of use, and we're going to start to make it stronger so that it can last. Wow. After 10 years, can still be even better. So that's the Metal Pless philosophy. It's not a buy and throw away 3 to 4 years from now. It's built to last.
Your ideal client knows that they are purchasing a product that's, like you said, built to last, right? And to deliver quality results, right? At the end of the day, that's it. That's the point. Quality, results, right? Service, right?
Productivity.
And our customers, right? And at the end of the day, right? It's about the industry about the service industry being successful, right? In delivering results to our clients. We think it's great that you've been on the show with us today. I can't believe our time is already up, but just something fun. What do you love to do outside of work? What are some of the fun things that you enjoy doing?
I actually bought an RV a couple years ago.
Nice.
Well, when I hit 40, so that was kind of that moment. So I bought an RV, and I just love going camping. It's one of those rare moments in life that I actually unplug. You park it, you put your jacks down, and you take out your awning, your chair, and I sit in that chair, and it's a chair that rocks, right?
Yeah.
So
nice.
You take your glass of water.
Yeah.
And I'll spend the weekend just drinking my water.
We all drink water.
And relaxing. Then Sunday comes around and just pile everything up and take off again. But that's my fun thing to do. That's how I am.
That's awesome. And did you go for your pilot's license?
I did. I did. And that's another thing that I love to do, of course.
Yeah.
I haven't had much time in the past year, but yes,
that's cool.
I'm a pilot. I have a Cessna 172 that I get to fly once in a while. So That's a whole lot of fun.
Love it. Great. Jason, thank you so much for being on the show today. Such a delight. We're looking forward to seeing you in June at SIMA. That's going to be a real exciting time. And we're looking forward to further conversations there. And man, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you again. Say hi to everybody back at the office there. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
And thank you to everybody that's following the Sales Talk Show. Metal Pless is really proud to be part of this. And we see a bright future ahead of us. So, awesome.
Likewise. Thanks again.
Thanks, Jason. See you soon.
Yep. And just like that, we're setting up for our next guest. Excited to have Joe Salemi joining us from Landscape Ontario. Here we go. Well, we're just so excited to keep the conversation going today on what's happening with knowing your ideal client. You know, it's just been such an incredible show so far, and it's been wonderful with the guests that we've had on and in the past, but today's guest too with Jason, and what a great time we've had, eh, Billy?
Oh, it's unbelievable, unbelievable. It's so interesting how the synergies of what we do in our business and how we identify the ideal client and how our suppliers and our associate industry partners also
Yeah.
do that as well. It seems natural, but I think in a lot of ways, as we discussed, it has to be very planned and strategic to get it right. So excited for the next guest.
So true, you know, and that's why we're excited to have our next guest join us, Joe Salemi from Landscape Ontario. You know, as we talk about knowing your ideal client, we're just so thrilled to have Landscape Ontario as an alliance partner with the show as well, and the role that they are playing for the industry as it ties into knowing your ideal client. You know, and how Landscape Ontario here in Canada is just doing such an outstanding job at connecting with its trade partners and members. And so we're just delighted to have Joe come on the show today. Welcome, Joe, to the show. Welcome to the show from Toronto, just outside Toronto.
Hey, thanks for having me, David, Billy. Great to see you guys. Thanks so much.
Well, welcome, Joe.
We're thrilled.
Welcome, Joe.
You know, it's, as you just heard us share, you know, it's just such an amazing thing, you know, when you look at what you've been doing as a trade organization here in Canada for the trade, knowing your ideal client really plays into who you are and what you're doing. And it's just outstanding. We're excited to hear the work that Landscape Ontario is doing and how you are supporting the trade through knowing your ideal client. Joe, we'd love to hear a bit about your background and what has now brought you to where you are today. Of course, you've been in the industry for quite a long time.
My goodness.
Your background's extensive.
It goes back a little ways for sure. I got started in this amazing industry. It was January 2003. So let's call it, the better part of 20 years. And I know it's hard to tell, but I started out when I was 23 years old, and it was unbelievable. I started with the Canadian Nursery Landscape Association, and who knew? I had no idea what that was. I didn't have any concept of what landscape or horticulture really was, and spent 10 years there and did absolutely everything with that organization, from manage their communications, did an incredible amount of government advocacy work. The programs, the discount programs that Landscape Ontario knows and loves, like General Motors and insurance and all those kinds of things, are things that I directly worked on while I was there, and negotiated programs with Caterpillar, John Deere, those kinds of things to save the industry hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years.
Wow.
So,
wow.
So I started there, and after about 10 years there, I got recruited out. I got recruited to go run a software company called Dynascape Software, do landscape design software and business management software. So I ran that company for 8 years. I walked them through an acquisition, and more than doubled their top line revenue in that amount of time. And then
Amazing.
I had a conversation with Landscape Ontario's previous executive directors. Some of you may know him, Tony DiGiovanni. He was Landscape Ontario's executive director for 33 years. And so over my career, Tony's offered me a job 3 times, officially 3 times, and officially I turned him down. And the last time he offered me a job, I jokingly but not jokingly, I told him that when he's ready to retire, to let me know, and I'd be interested in talking. Well, at Landscape Ontario's Congress Trade Show at the annual general meeting, so this was January 2020. He and I were sitting down. We were having breakfast together just ahead of the meeting, and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Hey, Joe, I've figured out when I'm going to retire." Because the board's been after him to retire for a little while, or at least to figure out what the plan was going to be. So he let me know that he would like me to be his succession plan. Wow. And I got to say, guys, like, what felt like minutes of my jaw being on the floor.
Yeah.
I let him know that I was incredibly flattered and honored that he
Mm.
thought of me. And so that was
Wow.
January 2020. By
Mm.
February, we had worked out all the details. And then I started with the Landscape Ontario April 1st, 2020. 2 weeks after the world shut down, I had a complete career flip.
Holy cow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're carrying the torch that Tony, led so well. And, he brought the organization through a lot in the last 30 years. And
Sure.
now, he really set the foundation, the groundwork, but now you've just got such a platform now for you to, pick up and go with so much of what's there. And your background is extensive in being able to do that. And it ties in so well with so much of what you've already done and experienced, and
Thank
how
you.
your
Yeah.
role now at LO,
Yeah.
let's talk a bit about that, because there's a lot going on.
Sure.
And so your role at LO is quite exciting. It's quite dynamic.
There's a few things going on for sure. I would say, a good portion of the work that I do directly as executive director is working with all levels of government, so different municipalities, provincial ministries, and then federally as well. We've got a number of files that we're working on with provincial government and with municipalities to be able to make it easier for landscape businesses to do business just easier. And in some cases, regulation and policy get in the way of doing that. So we're looking to reduce as much red tape as we possibly can. So I spend a lot of time doing that and building relationships with different ministers. I have a text message relationship with a few different ministers now. So we've been
Wow.
doing an incredible amount of work to be able to make those relationships happen.
Well, and those relationships are earned, through trust,
Yeah.
right? And that's built, and that's something beautiful that Landscape Ontario has been able to do, right? To build that credibility as well.
For sure. Yeah. We've been
And-
and we've been successful in getting quite a few grants, multi-million-dollar grants to recruit people to the industry and get them trained and get them employed. So our own way of filling the labor gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so even though Landscape Ontario, of course, as a provincial organization, you have such a national presence here in Canada too, right? And so when we talk about knowing your ideal client, it's amazing the work you're doing from an advocacy perspective for the trade. Let's talk a little bit about the work that you are doing right now, that as it relates to that,
Yeah.
right? For the trade, and of course how you're supporting the trade through the various different initiatives.
Yeah, talking about your ideal client, we've really had to lean into that. Coming out of the pandemic, there was an incredible amount of new companies that came into the marketplace, and while great at doing the work, may not necessarily have been the most skilled in running a business. So we just leaned into that. And, this past winter, we offered 160 different seminars focusing on everything from plant identification to hardscape installation techniques, all the way through to business management, operations, and leadership. So we really leaned into that, and we had over 2,000 people go through that 160 seminars over this past winter. And then, like I mentioned, we're actively recruiting people to the industry. We bring them here to our facility here in Milton, Ontario, and we train them for 4 weeks. We do a 4-week foundational training, and then we pair them with employers, members of Landscape Ontario, and it's our way of filling that labor gap. Still the number one issue affecting landscape horticulture in Ontario is the lack of people in order to do the work. There's definitely no shortage of work, but there's not enough people to do that. So this is us taking it into our own hands.
Yeah,
That's a great story.
and being very effective with it, and for us as trade companies, of course, we have a role to play with that as well, right? You have a big role to, of course, set the stage as an organization, and you're doing that. You're doing it so effectively and so well. I mean, like I love that word advocacy, because you've really done that. You've gone to bat for the trade, and yet us as companies, I think about Outdoor Pride and the work that you're doing, Billy, in Mass, right? In supporting the trade there, right? It's huge. And so we have a role to play individually. Billy, tell us a little bit about your role as an organization and how you're supporting the
Yeah,
trade.
we've been very active with the local trade, agricultural high schools. I've been on sit on a couple of boards, and I've been able to meet some amazing instructors and administrators. And the story is the same, whether it's Toronto, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, anywhere across the country. Everybody's screaming for help, and not so much the help that's pre-made. It's just someone willing to learn and willing to be in the industry. And I think, Joe, what you're doing is putting that training seminar through is definitely, it's definitely something that, we could learn from here in the US, is to give the opportunity for these young men and women to give it a try, to learn it, put 4 weeks into it and see what comes out of it. So we're very active in that. We've hosted the agricultural high school students to come to our place of business and go through a kind of a station by station, what the business is all about. And that's opened some eyes. These are young, 15, 16-year-old kids. They don't know what they want to do for the rest of their lives, but we're giving them a snapshot. And secondly is we're very involved in a organization here in New Hampshire called Bring Back the Trades. And we have an event, a cool event this fall that Mike Rowe is going to be the guest speaker. And he's going to, he has a message that's very specific to the trades. And we're one of the title sponsors at Outdoor Pride, and we're proud to support that program and be a big part of that day. It should be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. That's in November.
It's so exciting to hear the work that you're doing, Billy, and how you as an organization are making your mark, right? And doing our part, right? We need to do our part as organizations. This is where the rubber meets the road. The students, the young people, the candidates that want to join the trade, they need to come to us as organizations and see where their opportunity really is. At Landscape Ontario, they're going to hear about it. They're going to be trained, right? They're going to hear it. They're going to be trained. They're going to be connected. But we as organizations have a role to play to really show them the way. Mm-hmm. And to support and show the way. And, I was chatting last week with Landscape Ontario's workforce director as well. And just the opportunity that we have in the high schools, like you said, Billy, they don't always know. I didn't know when I was 16 years old that I'd be where I am today, or even when I was 18. And yet the cool thing is that these programs are there, even here through the co-op program for the high school students, to connect with us as organization companies here in Ontario, and for us to bring co-op students in, even if they don't know if they want to be in the landscape trade down the road. It's okay. They can spend time with us as organizations as part of the program, and their hours will still count towards the apprenticeship program. It will give them the opportunity to want to, if they like it and they think this is something they want to do, they can go into the apprenticeship program. And now all of their time that they've been learning and growing and getting inspired, with inside of the organization here and working, now they can apply that knowledge or that experience, gain more knowledge, and get certified, get fully trained as an apprentice. So this is very exciting. What's happening in the trades, hey Joe?
David, they can. So students now in Ontario, starting in grade 11, can opt to go full time to pursue their apprenticeship. So they can start working full time in grade 11. Pursue their apprenticeship, and then on completion, once they've completed their apprenticeship, they can then apply for their high school diploma. So they're not losing out on their education. They're earning and learning at the exact same time, and they're accelerating their career and getting into the trades just that much earlier. It's a fantastic opportunity for those that it's right for.
I love that. Earning and learning. Yeah. Earning and learning. Yeah. Hey, Billy, that sounds like what you're doing too. I love it.
Great tagline.
Joe, there's something more that's coming, right? And as we look ahead to the I think the end of July, right? So we look at how Landscape Ontario is continuing to support its trade members through really knowing your ideal client and how to care for them. Talk a bit about Snowposium. Really excited for what is happening at the end of July here in Ontario, in Toronto, with Snowposium.
Yes,
for the
thank
snow
you. Trade. It's become the largest focused event for snow and ice management professionals in Ontario, but across the country. There's no other snow event like it in Canada. So we've moved it to the International Center, July 31st. So anyone interested in just leveling up your snow business, this is the time to do it. We've got a full day of education planned, and then all the suppliers that you can think of that are there ready to help you are going to be there. So please join us. This is my personal invitation to you. Come out and join us on July
I love it.
31st.
I love it. It's such a great opportunity for education and learning. I met with a client last week, a large property management firm, and they even send some of their property managers to the show, right? So when we look to even our clients who are learning from, right, what LO is doing and through these initiatives is amazing, right? Again, knowing your ideal client means educating, training, coaching, and mentoring, right, and supporting. And so love the leadership, Joe. This is amazing. It's been great having you on the show today. We're looking forward to seeing you at the end of July 31st at Snowposium. Yeah, Billy and I will be there, and we're looking forward to connecting with everyone there. It's going to be an amazing time. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Can't wait. Thank you again for the opportunity. Great to see you both.
Likewise.
Thank you, Joe.
All the best.
Appreciate it. Well, David, look at that. Another hour goes by quick. That's for sure. We say it all the time. These guests are amazing. They bring so much excitement to the show and so much passion for where they are and who they're with. I just want to say thanks to Jason Whittemore from our title sponsor, Metal Pless. What a great interview. It's amazing what Metal Pless is working on and how they're helping companies like us and other companies around the world. We heard what they're working on, so that's super cool, and looking forward to what else is coming down the pike. He says there's other stuff in the making, so we'll see. And then Joe Salemi, Landscape Ontario, they are absolutely setting the bar for how to do it right as far as an organization supporting companies and potential employees. They're doing some really cool training to get people's ready for the industry. These young men and women that are interested in coming to our industry, they can get trained right through Landscape Ontario. That's just a really great commitment. So he's leading the charge over there and doing a great job at it. So thank you to both of them.
Incredible. Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing everybody in a couple of weeks down at CIMA in Pittsburgh, CIMA Symposium in Pittsburgh. Great city, a lot of fun to be down there. Good chance to network with your friends in the industry and vendor partners. They really work hard year round to give us the equipment and the knowledge we need to be successful, and they're going to be there, willing to help and willing to listen and help us grow our businesses. That's the June 25th through the 28th in Pittsburgh. So hopefully we'll see you there. And matter of fact, on June 27th, they've invited this guy, Billy Butts, to speak. I don't know.
That's you, man.
I don't know what's going to happen then, but we'll see if we can pull that off. But I've got a great, I got 3 panelists. I'm going to host a session where I'll be the moderator for 3 panelists that will talk a little bit about going from team member to team leader. Pretty cool stories on all of their parts. So excited to do that. And then our next show, this is show 3. We got through 3. Now we got number 4 coming up, right? Show number 4 is coming up July 11th. We're going to have our business developers on. It's go time. July, as you know, in the sales world we have to get the message out. We have to get ready to get these RFPs, people working their budgets at that time. So there's a lot going on. So it's definitely the right time to be talking about winter, even though it probably could be 90 degrees out talking about snow. That's just our industry.
It is, and that's the key time.
We try and stay ahead if we can. So John Tassinari is my outdoor business developer from Outdoor Pride, and Nicholas Corsini with Garden Grove. So looking forward to hearing from those gentlemen and what they have to say about what's on their schedules.
It's going to be good. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Great. It's going to be good.
David, that's it. What do you got?
Wow. So this is it. So you know what? It's go time, and I wanted to make sure I'm also doing a throw time here. I want to throw out a big thank you to our lead title sponsor, Metal Pless, our alliance partners, Landscape Ontario and CIMA, and just real excited for the upcoming episodes and events. And so couldn't be more excited for the summer, Billy. Let's go.
Thanks. See you next show.